God has many descriptive names that are found in the Bible, and they reveal God's true character and nature. We see the first descriptive name of God in the first verse in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, from the New King James Version. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. God is the creator, or Jehovah Elohim in the Hebrew. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, we see a very important key characteristic of God as we read from the King James Version. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. This verse describes the process of creating all that we see and know as our reality. It informs us of how God operates and a method that He employs that is foreign to our intellect. There were no building blocks for Him to work with. No concrete, hammers, nails, wood, or steel. No dirt, rocks, water, or even air to breathe. I'm Dr. Rich Masek, the author of Ideolatry, God is Not Your Problem. And today we will explore what we can learn from a name. Through science, we humans set up a comprehensive set of rules to explain and satisfy the needs of our intellectual understanding. And science would have us believe that creation was the result of a Big Bang. This appears reasonable enough since this theory seems to describe that which we can readily observe. Some building blocks or raw materials were present in order to create something else. Our understanding is that things are created by the manipulation of other things that are already in existence. To science, creation is an assembly or reassembly of existing stuff, since it won't acknowledge anything before the Big Bang. But the Big Bang requires a starting point. So how does science determine what the building blocks are and where they came from? Stephen Hawking, the famed physicist, has told us that it is not the business of science to deal with the actual origin of the universe or to attempt to explain the sudden appearance of the material needed for the Big Bang, no matter how infinitesimally small it may have been. Hawking said that science feels that this concept is better left to the metaphysical or religious folk in his book, A Briefer History of Time. He states on pages 15 and 69, "Some people regard the question of the initial situation of the universe as a matter for metaphysics or religion. As far as we are concerned, events before the Big Bang can have no consequences and so should not form part of a scientific model of the universe. We should therefore cut them out of the model and say that the Big Bang was the beginning of time. This means that questions such as who set up the conditions for the Big Bang are not questions that science addresses." Science strives for explanations based only upon human understanding. This is evidenced by its reluctance to deal with the material necessary to actually have a Big Bang. In the fervor of science to rationalize, describe, and understand the universe, it has developed theories over the last few hundred years to explain what it has observed in the universe. Through the Planck collaboration of the European Space Agency, science has declared the age of the universe to be 13.82 billion years old. This is truly astounding. An amazingly short span of a few hundred years of scientific investigation is extrapolated back to a stated beginning of time, 13.82 billion years, and declared as fact. Admirably, science endeavors to do what science does best, and explains what it observes and postulates what may have been and what might be. Certainly, a great number of benefits to mankind have come from this quest. Our current world of technology and convenience, industrialization and health would not exist without science. Although some may argue that we're really no better off, just living under different threats, challenges, and rules. Yet science proclaims about the Big Bang, this is ground zero, and everything started here. But how did this occur? The theories and the conclusions that are drawn by science cannot possibly be verified as fact, yet they are held as absolute truth by faith in science. God is actually the one who created whatever it was that began things, whether it was with a Big Bang or something else, and science is unwilling to even acknowledge this as a possibility. The consequence of total faith in science is the denial of God's existence and total disregard for His involvement with creation. Unlike the starting point of science, God created out of nothingness. So what do the conclusions of science and the ideolatry of man have to do with the character of God? Actually, nothing. The ideolatry of man does not influence the character of God. However, there is an aspect of God's character that allows for man's ideolatry, and it doesn't get much attention. It is His willingness to let us exercise our free will to think, speak, go, do, believe, deny, agree, or disagree with the true realities of His universe. This expression of our God-given free will can bring us delight or cause us immeasurable pain, and the choice is ours. The manifestation of this free will is first noted in Genesis, when God allowed Adam and Eve to disobey His word. And it was not a suggestion that they disobeyed, it was a direct command. But even before this situation with Adam and Eve, there must have been this same willingness on God's part to permit free will behavior. And in the future, we will explore this concept of God allowing things to take place. We are told of free will again in the fall of an angel, when Lucifer exerted his own free will against God, as described in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 through 14, as we read from the King James Version. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. There were consequences in both of these examples, but the behavior was still permitted. If your view of God is that He is in absolute control of everything, then He is responsible for your choices, and you would actually not have a free will. Every move that you make and the totality of the outcome of your activities would ultimately be dictated by God. In that case, you would have no personal responsibility for your actions and no free will to make your own decisions. You would simply be a puppet in His hands, and He would simply dole out punishment on a whim. On the other hand, if your view of God is that He is loving and merciful, offering forgiveness and guidance to you to improve your life, then God would be your helper, not your punisher. But your free will dictates that you're permitted to pursue your own course. You are not a puppet of God. However, free will also demands that you assume responsibility for your choices, and you can't have it both ways. You can't expect to exercise free will and then blame God for the consequences of your choices. Your perception of God determines whether or not you will receive from Him or run from Him. And God makes specific recommendations about this subject. He prompts you to educate yourself. The benefit of giving heed to this counsel is to gain a right and correct understanding that will keep you from embarrassing or destroying yourself with costly mistakes that simply come from ignorance. God's suggestion to you can be found in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, from the New International Version. Do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a workman who does not need to be ashamed, and who correctly handles the word of truth. The King James Version uses a different word. It says, study to show yourself approved. In other words, God is telling you to learn about the truth of His word. So, in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, God begins history, or His story, by telling us that He is Jehovah Elohim, the creator of the universe, and speaks tangible things into existence from nothingness. But other aspects of God's character are also revealed in the names by which He is identified in various places in the Bible. He is Jehovah Hosinu, our God and Maker, in Psalm 95:6, and Jehovah Elohinu, the Lord our God, in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. In Ezekiel chapter 48, verse 35, He is Jehovah Shammah, meaning that He is not removed or hidden, but is present in our lives. In Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 5, He is Jehovah Sitkanu, the epitome of righteousness, because whatever He declares is right. He is Jehovah Rapha, the healer, to our spirits and our bodies, in Exodus chapter 15, verse 26. And He is Jehovah Jireh because He provides for all of our physical needs in Genesis chapter 22, verse 14. In Judges chapter 6, verse 24, He is Jehovah Shalom, the Lord of our peace. In 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 3, He is Jehovah Sabaoth, the God of hosts, which means that He is the God of all the inhabitants of heaven and earth. And He is Jehovah Nissi in Exodus chapter 17, verse 15, which means God is our banner, like a rally point or a place to gather in victory. In Psalm 23:1, He is Jehovah Rohi, our shepherd, who cares for us like a flock and will reach out to find any who are lost. As Jehovah Makadesh in Exodus chapter 31, verse 13, He actively works through His Holy Spirit to influence our decisions, sanctify us, and make us holy. To sanctify us means to set us apart and keep us in a special place. And as Jehovah Adonai in Genesis chapter 15, verse 2, He is sovereign, meaning He is supreme, absolute, unlimited, unrestricted, and boundless. However, although God is unrestricted and sovereign in what He can do, He has made it clear in His Word that He has chosen to limit Himself by His spoken and written Word that He will not go against. We will go into much more detail on this aspect of God's character later. All of these names of God are truly descriptive of His character and nature. He looks out for His human creation in every way possible. God is there for you in every situation, circumstance, and step of your life, and you can put your faith and trust in Him. And I invite you to read Ideolatry to explore more of God's character and nature with me. Check it out at ideolatry.com, where you can read my blog and download the free chapter. I hope you will join me for the next episode, in which we will explore the impact of decisions that we make.